One of the biggest reasons Pretty Woman became a legend was the undeniable chemistry between Julia Roberts and Richard Gere. That magic hasn't faded a bit. Even after decades apart in this story's timeline, their connection still radiates. In every behind-the-scenes glimpse we've gotten so far, it's not just about looks or romantic gestures, it's the way they react to each other, the subtle glances, the shared laughter between takes. Fans have noted how genuine their comfort level seems. It's almost as if they've picked up right where they left off in 1990. That kind of on-screen bond is rare. It's what made Edward and Vivian's love story feel so real the first time. Both actors have spoken openly about what it means to reunite for this project. Julia Roberts has described the experience as like coming home to a friend you've known your whole life, while Richard Gere has hinted that stepping back into Edward's shoes feels natural, but layered with years of life lived. These sentiments suggest that their performances in Pretty Woman 2 won't just be recreations of the past, they'll be richer, deeper, and shaped by everything the characters and the actors themselves have experienced over time. The director has reportedly been very intentional about giving Roberts and Gere space to let their chemistry evolve naturally on set. Instead of over-rehearsing, some scenes are approached with minimal direction, allowing the two to improvise moments that feel authentic. This approach mirrors how the first film's most iconic moments, like the famous jewelry box snap, were born out of spontaneous interaction rather than scripted lines. In the sequel, we might just see new, unscripted moments that become just as unforgettable. Their reunion isn't only sparking excitement for the film itself, it's reigniting public fascination with one of Hollywood's most beloved pairings. Talk shows, entertainment magazines, and online fan communities are buzzing with side-by-side comparisons of their 1990 and 2025 appearances, analyzing how their dynamic has matured while still keeping that spark alive. If the energy they share on set translates to the screen, Pretty Woman 2 could deliver not just a nostalgic trip down memory lane, but an entirely new chapter of romance that feels just as powerful as the original. The announcement of Pretty Woman 2 has set the internet on fire, and the fan reactions have been nothing short of explosive. The moment the news dropped, social media timelines filled with clips from the original film, heartfelt messages, and excited countdowns to the release date. Longtime fans are sharing stories of watching the first movie with loved ones, calling it a defining moment in their own lives. Younger audiences, many of whom discovered Pretty Woman through streaming platforms, are thrilled to see a story they fell in love with, getting a fresh chapter they can experience in real time. It's a rare cultural moment where multiple generations are equally invested. Fan theories are running wild, with some convinced that the sequel will feature a surprise wedding, while others believe a dramatic life event will be the catalyst for Edward and Vivian's reunion. A popular theory gaining traction online is that the film will weave in a major life change. It's like one of them facing a personal loss or a significant career shift that forces them to reflect on what truly matters. Entire Reddit threads and TikTok deep dives are dissecting every leaked set photo and casting rumor, looking for hidden clues about the plot. Beyond the speculation, there's a deeper emotional connection fueling the hype. For many, Pretty Woman isn't just a movie, a piece of their personal history. It's a film they've rewatched on rainy days, quoted at friends' weddings, and shared with their own children. Seeing Roberts and Gere back together after 35 years feels like reconnecting with an old friend, bringing comfort and joy in a way that few modern releases can match. The buzz is so intense that even people outside the romantic comedy fan base are paying attention. Film critics, industry insiders, and even other actors have expressed curiosity about how the sequel will measure up to the original's legacy. If early reactions are anything to go by, Pretty Woman 2 won't just be another movie release, it will be a cultural event. And with each passing day, anticipation is building toward that moment when the lights go down. The first notes of the soundtrack play, and we step back into Edward and Vivian's world once again. Asterisk as the excitement for Pretty Woman 2 continues to grow. It's clear this isn't just about revisiting a beloved film, it's about witnessing a cultural milestone. The original movie didn't just entertain audiences. It shaped how an entire generation viewed romance on screen. Now, 35 years later, the sequel has the chance to leave its own lasting mark. In an era where cinematic universes and superhero franchises dominate, the return of a heartfelt, character-driven love story feels refreshingly different. It's a reminder that sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about saving the world, but about two people finding their way back to each other. The influence of Pretty Woman reaches far beyond Hollywood. Over the years, it inspired countless romantic comedies, became a symbol of transformation and self-worth, and sparked conversations about class, independence, and love that defies expectations. The sequel has the opportunity to build on those themes while speaking to today's audience, who are navigating a very different social and cultural landscape. If the filmmakers embrace this, Pretty Woman 2 could be more than nostalgia. It could be a story that resonates with a new generation while honoring the values of the original. There's also the undeniable impact on the careers of Roberts and Gere. For Julia Roberts, this role cemented her status as America's sweetheart, launching a career filled with iconic performances. For Richard Gere, Edward Lewis became one of his most memorable characters, blending sophistication with vulnerability. By stepping back into these roles, they're not just reprising characters, they're revisiting the very moments that defined them in the public eye. That kind of full-circle moment is rare in film, and it carries a weight that audiences can feel. Ultimately, Pretty Woman 2 has the potential to be more than just a box office hit. It could become one of those rare sequels that feels essential, not optional, a continuation that deepens the love story rather than diluting it. And when that first trailer finally drops, it won't just be selling a movie. It'll be inviting audiences back into a world they thought they'd left behind, promising one last chance to believe in fairy tales, even if they've been away for 35 years. Asterisk. It's finally happening. Julia Roberts and Richard Gere are stepping back into the world that made them one of Hollywood's most unforgettable couples. After more than 3 decades since Pretty Woman first captured our hearts, the magic is returning in a brand new sequel that promises to blend nostalgia with an exciting new chapter. Fans everywhere have been holding their breath for this moment, and now the dream reunion is real. The thought of seeing Vivian and Edward on screen again is enough to bring back memories of that iconic red dress, the rooftop rescue, and a love story that defined an era. When Pretty Woman first hit theaters in 1990, it wasn't just another romantic comedy, it was a cultural phenomenon. Julia Roberts' portrayal of Vivian Ward, a woman full of spirit and charm, instantly won over audiences, paired with Richard Gere's Edward Lewis, a wealthy businessman who learns the true meaning of love. Their chemistry was electric. The film didn't just tell a love story, it offered hope, showing that love could break barriers, change people, and inspire second chances. Roberts' infectious smile and Gere's quiet charm made them the perfect on-screen pair, turning Pretty Woman into a timeless classic. Now, after years of speculation, rumors, and wishful thinking, the sequel is officially in the works. This isn't just a casual comeback, it's a full-circle moment for both the actors and the fans. The announcement alone has sent waves of excitement through social media, with hashtags trending worldwide and fans revisiting the original film in anticipation. It's rare for a love story to get a second chapter decades later, but that's exactly what makes Pretty Woman 2 so special. It's a chance to revisit beloved characters, explore how their lives have changed, find out if that once-in-a-lifetime connection still holds after all these years. In this upcoming sequel, we can expect the same heart and sparkle that made the original unforgettable, but with a richer, more mature perspective. The characters we once knew have grown, faced life's challenges, and perhaps even drifted apart. But if there's one thing Pretty Woman taught us, it's that love has a way of finding its way back, no matter how much time has passed. And with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere returning to bring that story to life once more, this is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated romantic comebacks in Hollywood history. The story of Pretty Woman wasn't just about romance, it was about transformation, vulnerability, and taking a chance on someone who defied every expectation. When we first met Vivian Ward, she wasn't living the fairy tale life. She was a woman trying to survive, navigating a world that often judged her before knowing her. But Julia Roberts brought such warmth and depth to the role that audiences couldn't help but root for her. Vivian wasn't perfect, but she was real funny, honest, and unapologetically herself. Edward Lewis, played with quiet sophistication by Richard Gere, began as a man who measured everything in business terms. Yet over the course of the film, he discovered something he'd been missing all along: connection, compassion, and love without conditions. One of the reasons the original Pretty Woman still resonates today is because it flipped the classic romance script. This wasn't the usual tale of a powerful man saving a woman in distress. It was just as much about Vivian saving Edward from his own emotional isolation. That rooftop ending, where Edward overcomes his fear of heights to rescue Vivian, wasn't really about rescuing at all. It was about showing up for someone, making the leap, literally and emotionally, even when it's uncomfortable. And that's why the chemistry between Roberts and Gere felt so authentic. They weren't just acting out a love story. They were embodying the idea that love changes people. Fans have held on to those moments for more than 30 years. The laughter. In the shopping montage, the awkward but sweet conversations. The way Edward's walls slowly crumbled, they've become touchstones in the romantic comedy genre. That's why the announcement of a sequel isn't just exciting. It feels like being invited back into a world that shaped how we see love on screen. This time, we'll meet Vivian and Edward at a completely different point in their lives. Decades have passed. They've lived, loved, and perhaps lost along the way. And that makes the potential reunion even more compelling, because love stories aren't just about the beginning, they're also about what happens after. Happily ever after. As we look back at the first film, it's clear why its legacy endures. It had charm, it had humor, but most importantly, it had heart. That heart is what fans hope will carry into Pretty Woman. 2. The magic of the original wasn't in the glitz or the glamour. Though the ball gowns and penthouse views were unforgettable, it was in the way these characters saw each other. Beyond appearances, if the sequel can recapture that emotional truth, it won't just be a nostalgic trip down memory lane. While the official plot of Pretty Woman 2 is still being kept under wraps, bits of information and whispers from insiders have started to give fans a taste of what might be in store. Industry reports suggest that the sequel will not simply rehash the original storyline, but instead explore a fresh chapter that reflects the passage of time. Vivian and Edward are no longer the carefree couple strolling down Rodeo Drive. They've faced decades of lives, unpredictability, careers, personal choices, and perhaps even moments of distance that tested their bond. This gives the sequel the opportunity to tell a richer, more layered love story, one that's not about falling in love for the first time, but about rediscovering it. One of the most exciting aspects is the potential emotional depth this sequel can bring. Imagine Vivian, now a woman who has built her own life beyond Edward's influence, stepping back into his world after years apart. How has she changed? What lessons has she carried with her from that whirlwind romance so many years ago? And what about Edward? The man who once prided himself on being in control of everything, has time softened his edges, or has he struggled to keep that sense of openness she awakened in him? These are the kinds of questions the sequel can explore, giving audiences an emotional payoff that feels both fresh and earned. There are also hints that the sequel could address the modern world in ways the original never could. Relationships now unfold in a far more interconnected, fast-moving society. The stakes are different, the challenge is more complex. If Vivian and Edward's love story is to survive this second chapter, it will have to contend with not just personal differences, but the realities of a new era. This opens the door to moments of humor, tension, heartfelt reflection that will resonate with both fans of the seasonal, original, and a new generation of viewers discovering the story for the first time. Beauty of this approach is that it doesn't rely solely on nostalgia to carry the film. While we'll undoubtedly see callbacks to iconic moments, perhaps a playful nod to that legendary shopping spree, or a subtle echo of Edward's limo arrival, the focus seems to be on telling a story that stands on its own. This isn't just what happened after. It's what happens when love comes back into your life after you've lived enough to understand what it really means. And with Julia Roberts and Richard Gere bringing decades of personal and professional growth to their roles, Pretty Woman 2 could deliver a love story that feels both familiar and entirely new. Asterisk. The reunion of Julia Roberts and Richard Gere is enough to make headlines on its own. But Pretty Woman 2 is also shaping up to bring fresh energy with new faces and expanded storytelling. While the original film thrived on the intimate dynamic between Vivian and Edward, the sequel has the chance to broaden its world, introducing characters who challenge, inspire, and even complicate their relationship. Industry whispers point to the possibility of a younger supporting cast, perhaps representing the next generation of dreamers, dakers, and lovers navigating their own complicated romances. This could create parallel storylines, where Vivian and Edward see reflections of their younger selves in these new characters, sparking both nostalgia and self-discovery. Rumors suggest that the sequel may welcome back a few familiar faces from the original, offering fans the thrill of seeing where those beloved side characters ended up. Imagine reuniting with Kit, Vivian's outspoken best friend, and learning how her life unfolded after the events of the first film. Or catching up with some of the quirky personalities from the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, whose warmth and charm added so much to the original story's atmosphere. These touches could bridge the gap between past and present, rewarding loyal fans while still keeping the focus on a fresh, compelling narrative. What's also intriguing is how the film might handle generational perspectives on love and success. The original Pretty Woman celebrated bold choices and breaking free from stereotypes. In today's world, those themes can be expanded to reflect new social dynamics, shifting gender roles, evolving definitions of success, and the importance of emotional authenticity over material wealth. Having new characters interact with, Vivian and Edward could allow for rich conversations about how love and ambition have changed and how some truths remain timeless. Of course, all of this will be wrapped in the kind,